Have you ever looked back at a decision and thought, I knew better? Not, I didn't know. Not, nobody warned me. You knew. You saw the signs. You felt something was wrong. You even told yourself, don't do this. And then, you did it anyway. Maybe you stayed with someone you knew wasn't good for you. Maybe you spent money you knew you needed later. Maybe you kept postponing something important. Maybe you trusted someone who had already shown you who they were. Or maybe you simply kept choosing the easy thing, knowing the difficult thing was what your life actually needed. And here's the uncomfortable question. Why do intelligent people make decisions they already know are bad? The answer might change the way you look at your entire life. Chapter 1. The decision before the decision. Most bad decisions don't begin when you make the choice. They begin much earlier. They begin with a thought. You tell yourself, I'll do it just this once. I'll start tomorrow. It's not that serious. Everybody does it. I deserve this. And that little sentence gives you permission. Permission to ignore what you already know. Think about someone who keeps spending money they don't have. The decision isn't really made at the checkout. It was made when they said, I'll worry about the consequences later. Someone who keeps procrastinating didn't suddenly become lazy that morning. They made a decision to exchange a difficult moment today for a bigger problem tomorrow. Someone who repeatedly goes back to a toxic relationship isn't necessarily unaware of the problem. Sometimes they know exactly what they are doing. They are simply choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom. And that's where life gets interesting. Because sometimes, we don't choose what is best for us. We choose what feels easiest right now. And the price comes later. Chapter 2. Your brain loves the easy answer. Imagine you're exhausted after work. You've had a terrible day. You know you should exercise. But your bed is comfortable. You know you should study. But your phone is right there. You know you should save money. But that thing you've wanted is finally on sale. You know you should have the difficult conversation. But avoiding it feels easier. So you choose the easier option. And nothing terrible happens. That's the problem. The consequence doesn't arrive immediately. You get away with it. So you do it again. And again. And again. Until a small decision becomes a habit. And a habit becomes a lifestyle. And eventually, you look around and wonder, how did my life get here? It wasn't one massive mistake. It was hundreds of tiny decisions that seemed harmless at the time. That's one of the most dangerous things about poor decisions. They rarely look dangerous when you're making them. Chapter 3. The price of just this once. Just this once. Those 4 words have destroyed more potential than most people realize. Just this once, I'll skip the workout. Just this once, I'll spend the money. Just this once, I'll lie. Just this once, I'll answer that person. Just this once, I'll stay up all night. Just this once, I'll ignore the warning sign. The problem is, just this once has a habit of becoming this is what I always do. And repetition changes identity. At first, you're someone who occasionally procrastinates. Then you're someone who always puts things off. At first, you're someone who occasionally overspends. Then you're constantly worried about money. At first, you're someone who tolerates disrespect. Eventually, you begin believing you deserve it. That's why your small choices matter. They're not just producing today's results. They're training tomorrow's version of you. Chapter 4. The people around you are part of the equation. Here's something nobody likes to hear. Sometimes your decisions aren't entirely yours. Your environment influences you. The people around you influence you. The conversations you constantly hear influence you. If everyone around you treats debt like normal life, you'll probably stop questioning it. If everyone around you wastes their evenings, you'll eventually think that's normal. If everyone around you complains but never takes action, you may start doing the same. And if you're constantly surrounded by people who don't believe in growth, eventually, their limitations can become your expectations. This doesn't mean you have to hate anyone. It means you need to understand something. You become comfortable with whatever you repeatedly see. So pay attention. What kind of behavior is being normalized around you? What are your friends encouraging? What conversations occupy most of your time? Because your environment can either make your goals easier or make your excuses easier. Chapter 5. The decision that changes everything. Now here's where I want you to pay attention. Because this is the part that can actually change your life. You don't need to become perfect. You don't need to make the right decision every single time. You need to become better at catching yourself before the decision. Before you send the angry message. Pause. Before you spend the money. Pause. Before you quit. Pause. Before you return to the situation that already broke you. Pause. Ask yourself 3 questions. What will this cost me? How will I feel about this decision 6 months from now? And finally, is this choice helping the person I want to become? That last question is powerful. Because sometimes the question isn't, do I want this? Of course you want it. The question is, does this belong in the life I'm trying to build? Those are 2 completely different questions. Chapter 6. Your future self is watching. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. Not the version you dream about. The version your current habits actually create. What would that person say to you? Would they say, "Thank you for staying disciplined. Thank you for saving that money. Thank you for walking away. Thank you for starting"? Or would they say, "Why did you keep postponing? Why did you keep ignoring the signs? Why did you care so much about what everyone else thought?" Your future doesn't suddenly appear. It grows quietly from today. Every decision is a tiny brick. You're building something. The question is, what are you building? Chapter 7. Not every bad decision destroys you. And here's something important. Don't use this message to punish yourself for your past. You've made mistakes. So have I. Everyone has. There are things you wish you could go back and change. Words you wish you never said. Money you wish you hadn't wasted. People you wish you'd never trusted. Opportunities you wish you'd taken. But your past can either become a prison or a teacher. You cannot edit yesterday, but you can learn from it. The mature person isn't someone who never makes mistakes. It's someone who refuses to keep paying for the same mistake. That's wisdom, not perfection. Wisdom is recognizing the pattern before it destroys you again. The final lesson. So the next time you're standing between what feels good now and what will be good for you later, remember this. Your feelings are real, but they don't always tell you what is right. You can feel like quitting and still continue. You can feel like spending and still save. You can miss someone and still walk away. You can be afraid and still begin. You don't have to obey every feeling that enters your mind. Sometimes maturity is simply saying, I know what I want right now, but I also know what I want more. And that is where your life begins to change. Not when everything becomes easy. Not when you suddenly become motivated. But when you start making decisions based on where you're going, instead of how you feel in the moment. Because one day, you'll look back at your life, and you'll realize that the biggest changes didn't happen during the dramatic moments. They happened quietly, on ordinary days, when nobody was watching, when you had a choice, and you finally chose differently. So choose carefully. Your next decision may look small, but your future might be watching. And here's the question I want you to carry with you today. What is one decision you already know you need to make, but have been avoiding? Give yourself an honest answer. Then, do something about it. If this message spoke to you, don't just listen to it, use it. Speech balloon comment below. I choose better decisions. You don't have to explain your situation. Let those 4 words be a promise to yourself. Thumbs up sign like this video if it gave you something to think about. Bell subscribe to Wisdom Logic for deep, relatable life lessons about money, discipline, human behavior, relationships, success, and the decisions that shape our lives. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for watching.